for White Things, written by Marvin Bird and Russ Buyok, illustrated by Carol Hilliard. Focus question: what is a general's problem and how does he hope to solve it? After riding the Atenska with the coaches all day, Guangino spotted an SUV parked in front of the main house. His mother, Melissa, appeared at the door next to a tall, fair-skinned man a general didn't know. Please consider the offer, Serenza Ortega. I'll return in 2 weeks to discuss our cottage plan. The man said with a bored smile. Who's that? He asked his mother as the SUV speed away. Someone with an idea, his mother replied, turning back inside. Please go find Martin. We need to have a talk. I have received an offer to sell the Estancia, Melissa began. Alejandro was not surprised, not only by the offer, but also that his mother was including him in the talk. Since his father's death 2 years ago, she has relied on only Martins. I've always hoped to maintain our land in the true cultural traditions and keep it in the family. Sadly, as you both know, we're losing. Not sure how much longer we can keep the place going. Alejandro felt sad as he thought of his father. He had always said that the Estancia, the land, people, and animals was a family. With a sigh, his mother explained more. Mr. Somerset wants to build a resort. His idea is to create, in his words, a destination for travelers to experience the legendary cultural way of life. Not travel, tourists. Martin almost spat the words. You thought I was just a tourist when Jerson brought me down from Santiago, Melissa said. Even so, I was amazed by your cultures. Wait a minute. Yes. With your tradition bearers, Bombaca, pantaloons, and leather boots, Mr. Somerset just wants people to experience a bit of this, and I can't say I blame him. In the other instances, already have gone under from overgrazing, she continued. That is a hot light. She rubbed her forehead and sighed. Somerset said Alejandro and I could stay on 5 years if we wanted, with me helping the magnet. What would we do after that? Alejandro said, trying to not raise his voice. What could happen to Martin and other cultures? Some of them have been here for more than 30 years. I'm not sure, his mother said quietly. With that said, Alejandro dropped himself. He knew the situation was difficult for his mother too. Do we have to decide right now? Martin asked. 2 weeks, Melissa replied. Then we'll have 2 weeks to find an answer. Alejandro said, trying to sound confident. All right then, Martin said with a hot look on his face. Don't be late tomorrow morning, Alejandro. The next few days were filled with the hardest work Alejandro has ever done. He saddled horse, hauled ships, fixed fences, and unhauled feet. He made friends with an old sheepdog named Lucida that lay along next to him. In the evening, he would sit with his mother, who would ask, What did you learn today? Alejandro excitedly told her about everything, but when it was done, his body grew tired and sadness filled in his heart. He didn't yet know how to save the Estancia. On the 4th day, Alejandro and Martin came across a guardian with legs stuck in one of the fences. The white animal was scared and worn out, quickly shaking its long neck and thin leg. When Martin cut the guano loose, it limped away as fast as it could. In the old days, we didn't have any fences. on the estancia, Martin said as he replied the hoe. It was harder to protect the sheep, but at least there was always enough grass. Alexandro was silent. Something changed in his mind, but he couldn't figure out what it was exactly. And that afternoon, Alexandro listened as a gaucho told them about seeing a puma hunting one of the flocks. I frightened it away with few shots, he said. It's just hungry, Martin said thoughtfully. The changes to the land affect us all. When Alejandro's mother asked him what he had learned that day, he told her about the puma and the guanaco. For some reason, though, he didn't feel the usual excitement. Something felt strange, as if his brain were trying to tie together two wires that weren't quite long enough. They did not have much time left to save the estancia. 5 days before, Mr. Somerset was due on return. Martin sent Alejandro out on his scout. He told Alejandro to seek out a ship that had wandered away. After a while, Alejandro saw the ship moving through an opening in the rocky outcropping. How did she get on the other side of that fence? She asked Lucida. She walked and panted happily, bounding back and forth. When they reached the big rocks, Lucida suddenly refused to go through the opening. Fine, Alejandro said. You wait here. The space was narrow, but he could easily squeeze through by turning to the side. He saw what had attached the ship, a small area of sheep green grass dotted with white flowers. The sheep was unhappy to leave the feast, but Alejandro managed to get her back out through the tunnel. Before he followed, he stopped to pick one of the flowers, yellow tongue, Portland orchids. He remembered his father bringing them to his mother after working on the estancia. The orchids had once been very common, but these were the first Alejandro had seen since his father died. He was about to leave when he noticed a sudden movement. A puma stood on the flat rock overlooking the patch of grass, staring at him with big yellow eyes. Alejandro returned the hunter gaze, slowly backing toward the opening. Then, as if giving up, the cat lay down with a slow sigh, his eyes lazily half closing. Alejandro almost felt sorry for the beast. After all, he had ruined its meal. With his heart still pounding, Alejandro placed the flowers in his porch and lifted the bleating sheep over the fence. He finally felt safe when he reached the other side. As he nudged his horse forward, he couldn't push the blooming pasture and puma from his mind. They were wild, strong, and healthy. The estancia was no longer a place for wild things, but instead a land control. The fences were keeping the sheep from rich pasture beyond. Alejandro and Estancia were no friends. Some of the sheep might die from puma attacks, but the flock as a whole would survive and grow stronger. He realized that he could tell his mother that he had truly learned something today. Alejandro urged his horse into a gallop. He had to talk with Martins and the other gauchos. It was time to return the old way. They could fix this. There was still time.
Good job. nhanh nhanh chủ nhật chở đi đến Bắc Tiến làm xong rồi.
Amazing. A perfect score.